What happens when they're suddenly questioned? Or worse, accused of being, manipulated?
Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame.
Specifically, the dismissal of the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
A major event.
You know, it's kind of amazing when you stop and think about how much we rely on, well, on reliable information every single day. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, whether you're making a big financial choice or just trying to figure out, say, your commute based on traffic data, or
Yeah,
even just grasp the big headlines, data is sort of underneath it all, isn't it?
it really is. It guides so much.
But what happens when those very numbers, the ones we count on, the bedrock,
Hmm.
what happens when they're suddenly questioned? Or worse, accused of being, manipulated?
Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame.
So today we're diving into a really fascinating and maybe a bit concerning moment from recent history.
Right.
Specifically, the dismissal of the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
A major event.
And this deep dive, it really zeroes in on excerpts from an article titled Trump Sacks BLS Chief, Citing Rigged Jobs Data.
Mm-hmm. A pretty direct headline.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today really is to explore the specifics of what happened, the pretty powerful accusations that were made, and the big concerns it immediately sparked about trust.
Trust in official economic data, yeah.
Exactly. And the independence of these really critical government agencies.
And what's really crucial here, I think, isn't just that someone lost their job, right?
Yeah.
It's the direct allegation.
The rigged part.
Exactly. The claim that recent weak jobs numbers were, quote, rigged. I mean, this isn't some academic debate over methodology or, the finer points of economic policy.
That,
This is a direct hit on the scientific integrity of the data itself. When you hear a word like rigged, well, it suggests deliberate manipulation, falsification even.
that is a really strong word, rigged. And the article, it makes it quite clear. The former president, Donald Trump, dismissed the BLS head, and he specifically claimed those recent weak jobs numbers were, as you said, in his words, rigged.
Yeah.
That just puts an immediate, very harsh spotlight on the credibility of the whole data process, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And if you look at the broader picture, the
Mhm.
reaction from economists, from people who work with this data day in, day out, it was immediate and
Yeah.
severe.
They didn't wait around.
No, they warned straight away that doing something like this could really damage public trust. Not just in this data set, but potentially in all official economic data.
Wow.
It raises this fundamental question for everyone. What's the long-term damage when the numbers we use to measure our economy start to seem untrustworthy or, politically tainted?
It really does. And maybe just for a little context for you listening,
Yeah.
the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS,
Mm-hmm.
it's the main fact-finding agency for the U.S. government when it comes to labor economics, statistics, that whole area.
Right. They're the source.
So the source for key things like the unemployment rate,
Yeah.
job growth figures, the consumer price index,
Yeah.
things we hear about all the time.
Crucial indicators.
Absolutely crucial. And their impartiality is supposed to be rock solid because everyone uses these numbers. Investors, policymakers, they base huge decisions on this stuff.
So accuracy and objectivity are paramount.
Exactly. So when its leader gets dismissed with that kind of accusation,
Hmm.
it's just bound to cause massive concern. The article even calls it an unprecedented move.
And that phrase unprecedented move, that's really telling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It signals this wasn't just, a standard Tuesday personnel change in Washington.
Right. Not business as usual.
No, it suggests a real break from the established norms, from how these independent statistical agencies are supposed to work, how their data is typically treated.
Okay.
So when economists warn about political interference in federal statistical agencies, that's precisely what they're getting at.
Right.
The risk that the data, how it's collected, analyzed, even reported, could somehow be bent to fit a political narrative instead of just reflecting, reality as objectively as possible.
And that interference could look like different things, I suppose.
Sure. It could be pressure on the methods they use. It could be trying to suppress certain findings or, like in this case, apparently dismissing a leader seemingly because the data wasn't favorable.
Got it. So we're not just talking about a disagreement over, say, tax policy or spending priority,
No.
or even a different view on how the economy works. This cuts deeper. It's a direct accusation of, faking the numbers,
Essentially. Yeah.
and a really stark warning about politics potentially corrupting the very foundation of how we understand our economy.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the implications just ripple outwards, far beyond just those job numbers.
I mean, if the data itself is seen as unreliable, how does anyone make good decisions?
Exactly. How does the Fed set interest rates?
Right? Or how do businesses decide whether it's safe to expand or hire?
Or even you, listening right now, how do you make choices about your own career, your investments, if the basic economic facts are in doubt?
Yeah. That's the core of the worry, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Okay, so just to quickly recap where our deep dive took us today, we looked at the former president's dismissal of the BLS chief. That really serious allegation that recent weak jobs numbers were rigged.
A very loaded term. And the immediate, pretty widespread warnings from economists about the damage, the severe damage, this could do to public trust in our economic data.
And that phrase, again, unprecedented move, it really highlights the broader concern, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About the independence and the credibility of these federal statistical agencies. It fundamentally calls into question the reliability of the very data that's meant to guide the nation.
Yeah.
It just underscores how vital it is that these institutions stay free from political influence, to make sure the numbers actually reflect reality for all of us.
So, thinking beyond just this specific event, what does all of this mean for how you, listening now, how you evaluate the economic information you see every day?
It's a tough question.
It is. And what's the real cost when that fundamental trust in our basic data gets eroded? How might that ripple through everything from big policy choices right down to your own financial decisions? It's definitely something to think about.